Welcome to A Few Minutes with the CEO. My name is Al O'Grady, and for the next few minutes, we'll be talking to the president and CEO of Avino Silver and Gold Mines, Mr. David Wolfin. Now, just as the company name says, Avino is involved with acquiring, exploring, and developing silver and gold mine properties. It has projects in Mexico, British Columbia, and the Yukon. We'll be talking more about those projects, where they stand right now, and more importantly, where they'll be going and how this will be impacting shareholders in just a moment. Avino Silver and Gold Mines trades on the TSX Venture Exchange under the symbol ASM. Mr. Wolfin, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Al.
Okay. Dave, report card time. As I said in my introduction, you have a number of projects on the go in Mexico and Canada. Set the stage for us. Walk us through these projects. Give us an overview as to where you've been with them.
Okay, well, the Avino mine in Mexico is the primary asset, which is in production at the moment. The other projects in BC and the Yukon are near operating mines. So we have some property in BC near Braylorn, and then up in the Yukon, surrounded by United Keno Hill Mine, which is owned by Alexco. But Avino is the primary focus of what we're doing now.
Okay, you said Avino is in production. Give us some sort of idea in terms of the quality and the quantity that it's been producing.
We're planning to run the mill at 250 tons per day. And the mine life on San Gonzalo, which is a vein system within the Avino property, is about 5 or 6 years. Alongside this, we're already planning our expansion, which is dewatering the original historic Avino mine and then building the capacity of the mill to 1,250 tons per day. So that will increase the output significantly.
You've got quite a history with the Avino mine in Mexico. Why don't, for shareholders that are new to your story, give us the history book on this thing?
Sure. Well, Avino was the very first mine ever discovered in the state of Durango in 1558. It was discovered by Francisco Ibarra from Cortez's army. So it's got a long track record, and fortunately for us, we've got a lot of infrastructure that's built up around us, because you've got hundreds of years of mining on and off. In the 1800s, the British owned it. There was a smelter there. They minted their own coins, paid their miners in Avino money, so they would use it to shop in the company stores.
They had their own currency?
Yes, and I have the coins here. And that company was listed on the London Stock Exchange and had a market cap of £1 million, is what we've discovered, and this is in the 1800s. But when we got involved, it was in around 1969, 1970. We looked for mines that closed around the time of the Revolution, 1910, 1912, and that's how we found Avino. So we formed a partnership in the early 70s. We own 49%. Our partners were a private family. They own 51%. And collectively, we built the mill in 1974, commissioned it, operated it successfully for 27 years. It closed in 2001. In 2006, we bought our partners out. And 2010, in August, we recommissioned the plant. Okay. So on a small scale, at 250 tons per day, there's two circuits in the mill building. One's 250 tons per day, the other one's 1,000 tons per day. So we're just working on refurbishing the 1,000-ton-a-day circuit, and we hope to have that up and running in 2013.
Okay, you talk about Avino gold and silver. So gold and silver equally, one more than the other?
Actually, it's silver and gold. More silver than gold. Probably about 85% silver and maybe 10% gold, and then a few other byproducts, lead and zinc.
Okay, we've been talking about the past and the present. Let's talk about the future, not just for the Avino project that you have in Mexico, but let's also talk a little bit more about your projects here in Canada. What are your short-term goals, say the next 3 to 6 months, and also a longer-term horizon, say the next 3 to 5 years?
Those ones are in inventory until we have significant cash flow from Mexico. Just have it in inventory. That's the one in BC. The one in the Yukon, we've optioned off to a little company, and they're planning some exploration up there. So they have to pay us money and spend money in the ground in order to earn an interest in that property.
Okay, you're looking at any other projects that you might have on the drawing board?
Well, the next big project is the second area we're going to expand at Avino. We have a large tailings deposit, and tailings typically is the waste pile, but because we had poor recovery rates in the 1970s and 80s, there's quite a big endowment of silver and some gold left in there. So we just completed a technical report, and it's got a preliminary economic assessment type report on the oxide portion of the tailings. It calls for $29 million to construct, and it can produce over 1 million ounces of silver annually for 4.5 years. So the payback period is just over a year, and the internal rate of return is about 54% using the base case. If you use the spot pricing, it's up in the 90 percentile. So it's a good project. We're going to look to do that one probably next year once we have San Gonzalo, the Avino up. We'll see what our cash flow is looking like, and at that time we'll determine if we want to go ahead with the tailings project.
You know, Dave, you're leading right into my next question. You're talking about cash flow and numbers and so forth. You know, looking at your financial statements, you have a pretty healthy cash position. Last time I checked, you have over $4 million in cash and over $22 million in equity. You're well financed to fund these projects going forward. This has got to make your shareholders feel comfortable knowing that there are no real external pressures to dilute shareholder equity. Isn't that really the case?
Absolutely. I'm glad you picked up on that. Yeah, we don't have any debt. We don't have any gun to our head to issue shares or anything like that. We're trying to build a company using our free cash flow and keep the dilution down so our shareholders benefit in the long run.
Okay. You know, Dave, there are lots of junior resource companies out there, and I talk to lots of presidents and CEOs, and I always like to ask them this one question. What is it that sets your company apart from other junior resource companies on the TSX Venture Exchange?
Well, there's many things. I mean, the stage that we're at, we're in early stage production. Even though we've been in Mexico for 40 years, we're just reactivating it. So we're at early stages. There's a lot of growth potential. We're in an excellent location. Mexico is fantastic. Dealing with the government and getting permits is very good. So that's one thing. Infrastructure, we've got hundreds of years of infrastructure. We've got towns directly beside the mine that they can walk to work. The company is debt-free. We've got very few shares out, and most companies that are going into production have quite a bit more. So we've got all these things going for us that I think collectively separate us from other junior mining companies. And our vision is to become a top-tier junior producer at the moment. And then once we achieve that, then we'll see where we're going from that point. But that's our immediate goal. Okay.
Dave, that's it as far as the formal questions are concerned. Any final thoughts that you might have? Anything that you'd like to add at this point?
No, we just want the listeners to follow the developments of the company. It's a great play on silver. If you like the prospects for silver, Avino is a great way to follow and play the silver market.
Dave, I want to thank you very much for your time and telling us more about Avino Silver and Gold Mines.
Thank you very much, Al.
And Avino Silver and Gold trades on the TSX Venture Exchange and also in the States, in New York, on the MKT market, both under the ticker symbol ASM. And you've been listening to Mr. David Wolfin, President and CEO of Avino Silver and Gold Mines, on A Few Minutes with the CEO, produced by RBL Communications. I'm Al O'Grady. Thanks very much for joining us.